Guys, thanks for coming. I want to thank B&H for having me. We did this, I did the basic headshot here in, when was I here? In September, October? Was it October? It was the beginning of October. I think I had a great time, and I was so happy that I got asked back, so I get to talk to all you guys. Like David said, I'm a headshot photographer, and I have a studio here. I have one in Los Angeles, and I'm working on one in Dallas. I just went down there in October, and I'm trying to get that up and going, so it's in the logo. This I called the basic headshot, and this is a little bit about me and what went on in my career, which David had already spoken about. I started out in front of the camera and picked up a camera. I was training for the Olympics. I was on the U.S. sailing team, and a designer from Donna Karan said to me, "Have you ever modeled?" And I was like, "I have no." I was like, "No, I never did that." She got a photographer, took some pictures of me sailing, sent them over to Ralph Lauren, and I found myself in Miami doing a polo sport summer ad campaign. And this was in 1995, and that came out in 96. So I shot with Bruce Weber. How many people know who Bruce is? Come on, guys. If you don't know who Bruce Weber is, you go check it out online, okay? He's amazing. He really started my modeling career, and we became friends. And eventually, he just kept saying to me, "Pick up a camera." And I was like, well, I have no idea why I would do that. You know, I wasn't like I knew nothing about cameras. I wasn't really thinking about pictures. I was always in front of them. I had a fairly busy, active modeling career. It wasn't phenomenal, but it was good enough to get me to Europe and do some campaigns here, and you might have seen a picture or two I was in. But I decided to pick up a camera in 2000 after, Bruce kept drilling me about it, and it was the best move I ever made, so I can't thank him enough. You could see from the bio some of the stuff I did. One of the things I'm most proud of is in 2010. How many people watched the TV show Lost? Have you seen that? I got to go to Hawaii. I was there the last day they were shooting, and they were filming the last episode, and I did an exhibition that was at the Vilcek Foundation on the Upper East Side, and we printed, I believe it was about 21 of the images, and they were like 40 by 60 or something. They were enormous. And I shoot a Hasselblad, and they let me borrow a 50 megapixel camera for that shoot. This is an H3D 22, my workhorse. You can see it's a little bit beat up. Hasselblad actually, you guys aren't going to like this. They gave it to me in 2007, and I'm serious. I don't know why this happened. I'm in my studio minding my own business, and I get a call from Mark Duane from Hasselblad. He said, "Do you remember filling out a survey online in like September?" And it's like December 17th or something. And I was like, "Yeah, I vaguely remember doing something like that." Lindsay, if it's not working, then you can turn the phone off, start the phone back up, and start from scratch. So I vaguely, remembered filling this thing out. He said 18,000 people filled this out across the globe, and we picked 4 winners, and you're one of them. It was like December 17th. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best Christmas present I've ever had. Oh my goodness. So I got this camera, and I've been shooting it ever since. I love it. They've been so amazing to me with support and stuff like that. So I'm pretty psyched about that camera. I also got some sponsorship from a tripod company called Faisal. Does anybody know about Faisal? These things are incredible. I know they're trying to, I don't think B&H carries them yet, but hopefully after me talking about it, they will. This thing is an absolute rock star of a tripod. I have never seen anything better. These guys, it's just, I'm big on things being light and being tall. I shoot every one of my people, I shoot standing up straight. And I had, I think the tallest guy I had, does anybody know Jalen Rose? Jalen Rose was one of the Fab Five, right? One of those guys, I don't know, he played pro basketball. He's a commentator on ESPN now. Anyway, I shot him, and I maxed out my tripod, and I was like, so at that moment, I was like, I need a really tall tripod. So this thing gets really tall, and the thing that I really love about it is it's got a leveling head in it. So watch this. How cool is that? Look at that. Smooth. Listen to this. You're going to love this. Watch this. Watch this. Listen to this. Well, just listen to the sound effects. I love that every time I open it. Now, I just got it, and I saw it at the Photo Expo, and I was floored by it. There's a lot of products out there. I'm a gearhead. So when I find something I like, I really, latch onto it. And just the way how smooth this thing is for adjusting. I mean, you can adjust, like there's no tripod that I know that adjusts as quickly as this thing and as smoothly and as sturdy. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, I'm just fired up about my Faisal, guys. All right. Anyway, I just brought this here to show you. I'm not going to take any pictures today, but I just wanted you guys to see what the equipment was. Now, the one thing I want to tell you, when you start to see my work, it's really not about the equipment. Yes, I'm a total gearhead. I'm a gear junkie. I like the best stuff. But we're talking about headshots. And headshots to me are about the interaction between you and your subject. And that's really what it's about. So if you don't have this, and you don't have this, and you don't have the crazy lights I have, you don't need them. I didn't start like that. I started with my butt up against the back of a window sill. I got the biggest window I could find in New York on 42nd Street. There's a building out on the end called River Place, and I got a space in there. It was a studio apartment with a big window, and I put my butt on the windowsill, and the light came through gorgeous, and I put a foam core white in right behind a little flat like futon, and I had the client sit on that, and I sat my butt on that window, and I shot like that. I built my business like that for 3 years. So anybody who tells me they need sophisticated lights and need to spend a lot of money here, although I love spending money here, I really love spending money here. Everybody knows if they give me a B&H gift card, that's the way to go for my holiday presents. Anyway, that picture that I just showed you, was taken in my studio with the Kino Flows. Michael Cavada came into my studio and he shot that for me, so thanks, Michael. The basic headshot. I've been doing it since 2000, and I think at that time I realized I was really wanting to get into thinking about what is it about a headshot. So what does it take to get a great headshot, right? You need a human being. That's the first thing you need, right? To get a great one, you need a camera. How many people take headshots? Okay, how many people have ever shot a human being? Raise your hand because you've taken a headshot. All right, we all shoot headshots. How many people have charged for shooting a headshot? That's a little different. Okay, cool. I'm glad you're here. I started charging. I started this business, and I remember I bought the camera, I came to B&H, I went downstairs, I talked to Milton, I bought a darkroom. He was awesome with me. This was back in 2000. I set the darkroom up in my mom's basement in Jersey, so I would shoot all week here and run out to Jersey to go print everything. But I started shooting models because I was modeling, and then eventually a model needed a headshot, and I was like, I don't know how to do this. Okay, well, let's try. The difference is, so I'm shooting all these good-looking people that just happen to be in the agency I was with, so I got lucky, that I had a rapport with the agent so I could get in. A lot of people are like, how do I get started? I was like, well, I was there, and I just said, they were my friends. So I got lucky that I happened to be behind the camera, so I had good-looking people to put in front of the camera. But when you're shooting headshots, they're just humans at this stage of the game. They don't have to be models. So I always tell everybody, get as many people in front of your camera as you can, because you're going to get different personalities and different experiences, and every single human being on this planet looks different. I love the human face. I can't walk down the street and have somebody walk by me without checking them out and seeing what features they have and being like, look at the features that person has. How cool is that? Everybody's got interesting features. And your job when you're shooting people is really to find their best features. So that's what I'm working on a daily basis. But get as many people in front of your camera as you can. So that's what I did. And eventually somebody said they needed a headshot. And then I looked to see what the heck people were charging for headshots in New York City. Does anybody know the range of pricing for headshot photography here? Who knows?
300 to 1,000.
Okay, 300 to 1,000, right? Nobody knew that?
1,500, I'd say more. Well,
Maybe somebody. I charge 11. I charge 1,100. I think I don't know if anybody charges more than me. I think somebody might.
Two shots?
For
Like 1,100 for two.
Oh, 1,100. If you go to my website, you can see I'll do questions at the end,
Okay.
and I'll answer all that stuff. So keep it in mind. But if you guys want to know about my packages, go to peterhurley.com. There's a gray star in the lower left-hand corner of the page, and just click on that. All right. And on my homepage, there's all sorts of information. There's a place to sign up for my newsletter. There's a link to Faisal. I'm in love with my Faisal, guys. I'm not kidding. There's a bad boy, huh? So now, this is 22. I was like, I'm going to just stick with this because the files out of those bigger ones are just enormous. Who knows the size of like the 60 megapixel file? Unbelievable. No, I'm going to go look at that after this today and see what we can do. They got a big trading going on right now, Hasselblad. If you trade in an old one, you get like $7 grand. Like I have a really old one before this one, and they'll give me like $7 grand. I was like, that's maybe we'll see. We'll see. So what do you need? You need a camera, you need a face, and what do we have? When I was sitting on that window ledge, what did I have?
Light.
I had sun. I always talk about light. I think light is the most important thing for a photographer, right? And the best light in the world is free. Every one of these is trying to emulate that. Every single one of them. So people go out in these gear junkies, right? They get crazy and they want to get the best lights. Yeah, it's nice to have the lights, and if you're in a studio, you need them. But if you're starting out a headshot business, you got the best light right there. It's free, and it's even better when it's like this. Do not shoot headshots in direct sunlight. Do not do it. Don't ever do that. That's like crazy. You want to see every wrinkle on everybody? No. You want diffused light. So you're going to start, diffusing your light, and if you get real tricky, then you throw in some of these. You're going to see my lighting setup. I shoot lights called Kino Flows. I've been shooting them since 2004. I had a studio that had no windows in it. When I moved from that little ledge in that studio apartment to a bigger studio, I moved into this building called the Starrett Lehigh building on 26th Street. It's that big building on the end with all the ridiculous windows. Well, I didn't have any ridiculous windows. I was in an inside cubicle in there because on the inside of a huge studio that had the big windows, but I couldn't use that every day. So now I'm in this small space going, I'm used to natural light. How the heck am I going to get natural light looking stuff in here? And I was shooting strobes, and if you see, I'm going to show you a couple videos of me working and of me talking and stuff, and you'll see me. One of my big things, if you guys look at my website or find anything about what I've been doing, there's a lot of banter. People talk about my banter. When you're in front of my camera, I never shut up. So there's a lot of, it's just, that's the way it is. So I'm trying to elicit stuff out of my subjects all the time. So it happens from a lot of this talking. So when strobes going off like crazy, I am not good with that. So these are constant lighting, and I think that's pretty cool. And look at the light it gives. How gorgeous is she? My goodness, I love that shot. And so these are just some. I shoot on a white background generally. This is some of the work that I've done over the years. Anybody watch 30 Rock? She's in it. So what comes to me is I get a lot of questions. I basically started with my headshot business when I told you, I was like, wait, this person needs a headshot. And then I looked at back to the pricing. I looked at what the headshot photographers were charging, and there were headshot photographers charging like $1,000. I was like, wow, $1,000. Let's see, Now back then, if you told me I was going to be charging $1,100, I would have thought you had lost your mind. I tell everybody, I teach seminars and I talk about pricing your work a lot, and I think you have to price it where you feel it's valuable or valued at. If you feel like you're pricing yourself too high, or how depending on how busy you are. I talk to some photographers that tell me they're really busy, like they're booked like months in advance. I'm like, but they charge less than half of what I charge. I'm like, raise your rates. What's wrong with that? So every month I was busy, I raised my rate $50 until it got, the top ones were like at $1,000 then. I got it to 1050. I was busy. I was like, I'll go to 11 and I'll stop. And that, I haven't changed my rate since August of '06. That's when it got up to $1,100. And back then I used to be booked like 2 months in advance. It's not like that anymore, but I'm busy and I'm doing other things and I'm trying to get a lot of portrait work now too. So, and I am pretty cranking. So, but I feel everybody with the recession, a lot of photographers started to pull back and lower their rates. And I just felt like I'm working hard. I think I'd give a good product. I'm definitely going to just keep my rates where they are and try and focus on other things. I started the teaching thing. I love doing this. I love it. I do this thing called the Headshot Intensive, which you're going to see a little clip on. I just released a DVD on last Thursday, so a week ago. It's got ridiculous reviews. It's like people are flipping out about it. If you go to my website, you can see a little bit on that. I don't know if any of you guys have been to SLR Lounge, but they did a review of it, and it's just off the hook. I can't believe what these guys are saying about this stuff, because I've never released a DVD. I've never taught until this year. I've never taken a photography course in my life, and people are getting a lot out of what I've concocted in my brain for the last 10 years, having one-on-one interaction with these people that I've shot. So it's pretty cool. Why the white background? Let's start with that one. It was the simplest thing that I could think of. I was like, if I'm going to shoot, all right, so if somebody comes to me and wants to shoot outside, then I got to get my butt going outside. Then I got to worry about weather, and I got to figure this out. I need something consistent that I can do easily with no matter what the weather is. I was like, well, if I sit my butt on that ledge and put a white behind them, it's simple, it's easy. It's I just figured I'll just do it like that. So that's what I did, and I stuck with it. I think it's being an actor's headshot, or whatever you're shooting, whether you're shooting a CEO or a kid or a family or whatever, and you're doing headshots. It's nice to have some simplicity in there, because there's the human face I find is so interesting to look at. The minute that you put something behind them, it becomes another character. And actors don't want another character in their picture. They're the character that's trying to get booked. Are there any actors in the room? You are? Cool. You are? Cool. All right. Cool. You are? Good. Good. I was an actor. I was damn good. I got so nervous in front of I'm good acting like myself, and that's about it. Once they even used to have me come in and read for being a photographer. I went in to read for being a photographer on NYPD or Blue. No, it wasn't that long ago. It was, what was that other one? Law and Order? Law and Order. Okay, I went in to read in Law and Order. I had this. I was like, it's for a photographer. This was after I had stopped acting and picked up a camera and quit the modeling and acting. I went in. I talked to the casting director. I was so psyched. She was like, you're totally cool. This is great. Okay, read the script. My name is Jerry. I don't know what I said, but it was like I was nervous, I was shaking, and I was reading like it was terrible. So anyway, but being an actor and being a model gave me experience that is invaluable, with knowing what the people coming into me are going through. So when I do my headshot intensive, I get every one of the photographers who are taking it in front of my camera to feel what that's like. And I just did a headshot intensive this past weekend, and Jason, you didn't get in front of my camera because we were so busy, so you're going to get in front of my camera sooner or later. He took my intensive course, so it's named appropriately. So we didn't have time over the course of the entire 2 days. We go from 9 to what did we go till midnight on Saturday? And then on Sunday I was there till midnight again. But so it's intense. Anyway. Why do I shoot only horizontal? There's people out there who think I don't know how to do this. I got asked today. They don't know. They think I can't do that. I got a girl asked me, can you pull back and do some 3/4 shots? Well, I could flip I can put the camera like that. I think I can do it. But it's funny because they'll talk about this, that I really do like shooting horizontally. I like the way I feel like it's a when actors are on screen, it's like they're in a movie, So I'm shooting, if they're on screen, it's basically cropped the same way that I'm cropping, essentially, in terms of these shots. It's kind of like a movie screen. I like to look at it like that and think about it like that. I also like negative space. I like the eye to have somewhere to wander. If you're shooting vertically and you're close, I mean, the person's head's like this. You have nowhere to go. We're not going anywhere. There's nowhere to, I can't move my camera around. When I'm shooting, I'm all over the place. I'm in here and I keep I keep everything pretty loose so I can move around a lot. I keep this just so it holds it, but it's not like locked in. And I'm moving them in the frame to put them where I want. So it's more about me not getting bored than anything else. Okay? That's the answer. No. But I like it. I think the way we see visually first is horizontally. That's the way we read. That's the way our eyes aren't like this, right? They're not vertical. Our two eyes as humans, we're like this. So we see horizontally first. I just think it's nice that I feel a different vibe when the shots are shot like that. So that's why I started doing that. And the industry has kind of followed suit over the last couple years. Why do you chop their heads off? I get this a lot. I have clients call me up, go, I've shot them. If you go to my website, there's not one person on there. Should we go back to some of these images? Where are we? There we go. Okay, there's not one person on there without their head cut off, all right? There's not one. People come to me and they shoot with me and then they call me later and they go, you know, you chopped the top of my head off. I was like, did it look like there were tops of heads in this shots? You know, does it look like this person, you know, is not chopped off? The reason for chopping the head off is proximity, essentially. If I'm shooting that close to the person, I think it's way more important to have the information right here, from here to here, and get the neck and the shoulders and whatever clothing they're wearing and whatever you know, neckline they have on, than it is to get the top of their head. You know, they know it's there. That's what I say to them. I'm like, what do you need that for? You know? Then I get a shot like this and they'll go, you know, I'm concerned that they can't, I'm not sure about where my ear is. I was like, they know it's there. You know? I'm like, you got to be kidding me. What do you think? They'll see it when you walk in the door. You know? You think some casting director's going to go, no, can't book her. Forget that. I can't see her ear. So I get all this stuff. So the crop is really essential. I like the eyes above center line. When you look at these images, when a crop's too low, I really can't stand it. I should have put an example in here. But you know, if the center line of the image is here, these eyes they have to be above it. I don't know exactly where center line is on that, but you get it. In most of my work, you're going to see eyes above center line, and you'll see that because I'll flip through these as we're going. All right, so where were we? White background, horizontal. I nip that in the butt. What is that crazy lighting setup you use? I get this a lot. I shoot Kino flows. You're going to see the setup because it's on some videos. I designed it, like I said, because of the room and the space I was in. They sell them downstairs. You can go check them out. I'm sure they have them in stock. They're amazing. And how did I discover it? Perry Ogden. It was a photographer that rented out, you know, that little room I was in? There was a studio on the side of it. And he rented that space out, and he had the Kino flows going, and I saw his setup, and I was like, that looks pretty cool. He left, and he left the lights there for the weekend for the rental house to pick up on Monday. Guess who went in on the weekend? I set those suckers up. I put one girl in front of it. I went, whoa, holy smokes, and that was it. I've been using them ever since. That was 2004, all right? So we could talk about my equipment just because, you know, this is what I use, but you know how I feel about it. I think that photographers should make a budget for themselves and figure out what's important for you to get, if you're running a business or you're going to get your business going, figure out what it is that you're going to spend money on. In terms of cameras, I always tell people, look, figure out your budget, buy the most expensive camera that fits into your budget and allows you to spend money on the other things you need for photography as well. You know, I mean, I think the more you spend, the more bells and whistles you get, you know, bigger files, this, that, and the other thing. So, you know, that's basically the gist of it. But you don't need this stuff. But I love it. I'm shooting into a 27-inch iMac. I shoot tethered, so I got a Firewire 800 going from here to the computer, which I have over there, but I didn't bring my KinoFlow, so I can't really light today. So I figured I'd just show you the camera, and I got to show you the Faisal. I shoot into Focus software, which is Hasselblad software. Does anybody shoot a Hasselblad?
Film.
Yeah, film. Yeah, sure. Those are gorgeous. But this software is fantastic, and my workflow is based on shooting the actor and then letting them see that. Do you see the look in that guy's eye? You see how something's going on? You think I said something to him to get that out of him? That's what my work's based on. I have no idea what I said, but I said something, right? So a lot of times when I'm teaching, I'm talking about how to develop a dialogue and to direct. As photographers, we create the atmosphere. You guys create the atmosphere, right? If somebody walks into my studio and they get in front of my lights and I get in front of the camera and I don't say anything, what are they going to do? They're not going to do anything. They're not going to know what to do. They already don't know what to do. And then they're just going to get worse. If they're already frozen, they're going to get stiff as a board. So you guys have to work on developing a rapport with your clients through, and I developed it through, it was the first thing I thought of when I started shooting, because people get blank in front of cameras. You know, how many people change when they get in front of a camera? Raise your hand. How many people change when they get in front of a camera? I will guarantee you that everybody in this room changes, and everybody in this store changes, and everybody in New York City changes, everybody on planet Earth changes. You know why? Because we're being recorded at that moment, and we change. There is a change. I've shot probably 10,000 people, and I don't remember anybody not changing. So you want to change them back. If you want to capture them, you got to change them back, as if there was no camera there. The only way to do that is to create an atmosphere for them to play around in and not feel self-conscious and have fun. Or just catch them off guard. You know, that kind of thing. Some people are good in front of a camera. Models change in front of cameras too. They turn something on. I know how to do it. So everybody changes. When model comes in, I got to change it. I like, don't do your standard catalog-y thing, your little, like this kind of stuff. Yeah, I was good at that too, but no, don't do that. Not for acting. Not for acting. So, oh boy. All right, I got my Arcus Swiss ball head, and we talked about the Faisal. Did I mention the Faisal? I did. I just love it. I mean, I'll tell you the story behind it real quick again. I'm walking all over. I shot Gitsu. I had a Gitzo, and the thing that I don't like about the Gitzo is that there's like a track that runs down in here, and when I can't do this with a Gitzo. So I also like these big. I like this. I don't like the flaps. I like the little spinner thing deals. I don't know what any of this is called, and I like the noise it makes. But what I really like, I love this. So I'm always looking for a tripod that's big, sturdy, light, and can rotate, because I'm shooting loose, so I'm moving all the time. So if this is stuck, it could, with my Gitzo, I kind of put too much pressure on it, I kind of broke it a little bit. So I went to a Velbon, and Velbon's a great product, and I shot that for years, and it's very similar to the way that this setup is. But the Velbon, it got old, and it was time to kind of replace it, and Velbon's got a different importer or something, so the one that's tall enough is not sold here anymore. So I'm like, what am I going to do? So I'm at Photo Expo, and I'm walking around, and there are a gazillion. How many tripod manufacturers are there? There's a gazillion, right? And I'm a gearhead, so I'm totally I look at every freaking booth. I walk fast, but I look at every booth. How many people go to Photo Expo? Come on, it's totally cool. It's totally cool. So I get to this booth, and I just see it. And I knew from 10 feet away, I was like, you're kidding me. I didn't know this thing existed. And I'm just very particular about little things. So the minute that I saw it, I talked to the CEO of the company, and I just got really excited, and they shipped me one, and I've been using it, and Anyway, it's my newest toy, so that's why I'm so fired up about it. So you hear me say Faisal like a million times because it's kind of a funny name, but I like it.
What model is it?
This is a CT 3472LV. I think they could have done better with it. The name's tough, but if you go to peterhurley.com, there's a Faisal logo on the front page. If you click on it, it's linked to this sucker because I am so into it. And with the DVD selling like crazy, my hits have gone through the roof. I'm selling my DVD worldwide. It's actually a digital download, but we call it a DVD because we were thinking about making a DVD, and then I was like, I don't want to call it a tutorial. Anyway, so we're getting so many hits, so I set up the link to Faisal for people if they ever want to purchase one of these. And I talked to the CEO and I asked him if they had sold them in here, and he said he was talking to B&H about it. So hopefully they'll get them here very soon. But for now, if you go to my site, click on that thing, it'll take you right there and you can buy it on their site. But I'm sure they'll be in here soon, I'm hoping. Okay, Kino flows. So I shoot with 2 4-foot banks and 2 2-foot banks, basically, and I set them up in a kind of square configuration. And then I just turn bulbs on and off as I see fit with the guys, and with the women, I just blast them. Women, you want beauty light. I just blast them like crazy with all sorts of light. I light the background to make it white with alien bees, just because they're simple and they have fine-tuned adjustments on the back, and they're rather inexpensive. They're sold on a website called Paul C. Buff. You can go check that out. They don't sell them at B&H. But they're simple, easy, and inexpensive. If you're starting out and your budget's not enough to walk in here and get serious, you can go to that website, and it's a great little unit that you could start with and use. And they're very consistent and reliable. I use pocket wizards. I don't like cables. I'm just not into the cable thing. You know, having that thing, it always falls out of here. It's annoying. So I shoot with pocket wizards to those alien bees, and that's just to get the background white. Let's talk about the capture. How do I do it? One thing is that I do. How many people do this? Do you guys manual focus? Most people don't these days, right? DSLRs, the focus is so insane that you really don't have to. With this sucker, you kind of have to, because in a headshot, I like to focus. Here's a good thing to write down if you're writing down about headshots. You always focus on whichever eye is closer to the camera. So if you're shooting them straight, you're focusing on both eyes, right? The minute the head turns like this, you're focused on the front eye. So you're back. I shoot at 6.3. Here we go. Look at this. I'm on there. So I shoot at f6.3 in this because this goes at third stop increments, so it's between 5, 6, and 8. At a 60th of a second at ISO 200. I'm at slow shutter speeds because the Kino flows, they don't output much light. 6.3 on this 120 macro is like, I'll focus on the front eye and the nose starts to go out of focus. So this eye's totally gone. You know, if you guys shooting, you know, the DSLRs, you're probably, I'm thinking I've never shot one. Well, I rented one I shot Times Square for New Year's Eve once for Toshiba, and I rented one, but I wasn't shooting headshots. I was running around like a maniac. So I never really tested this, but I think it'd be around an 85, 1.2, 1.4 on the aperture to get that kind of depth of field, shallow depth of field. But you guys should experiment with that depending on your proximity to your subject. But the manual focus thing is huge sometimes, because if you got to try and get someone set up for a headshot and then see where your focus point is and make sure it's getting that front eye. And I shoot quick and I turn them quick and I move the camera quick, so I think obviously the new DSLRs are pretty amazing at that. So I just have people test it, and we were testing it this weekend, and what happened? Everybody was good with it, autofocus, right? Were you autofocus? You were? He was autofocus, people. With the Rebel XTI, cool. So see, I mean, the camera, the shots that we got this past weekend were great. I shoot focus software. All right, we're talking about the light now, which you guys all know is Kino Flow. 2 alien bees on the background. Women, I set it up like a square. Men, it's the 2-foot and 4-foot banks on each side. I have a VistaBeam 600 from Kino Flow that I use as a kicker in the back. This is the most important thing for me when I'm teaching. I don't know, this freaks me out. Like cropping is like huge. Like a photographer's eye to me is, when you're in a studio, is the crop. Because when you're outside the studio, your eye, there's a lot of activity in setting up a shot. But when you're in a studio and the background's plain white, you only have the crop. So that's it. What else is there? So the crop becomes hugely important. And I found when I'm coaching photographers, they're missing out on the crop. So eyes above center line is huge. Whenever I see like tons of space up here, I can't stand it. So people miss that, and that's the first thing I tell everybody practice and work on. If you guys like the way my images are cropped, you can go to my website and see, and you can try and get people in the camera that, you know, to crop them like that. But it's the number one thing I worked on. Your crops were pretty good this weekend, big guy. So I think I belabored that already. Yeah, I like the negative space. I need the hairline though. I can't crop off the head down here. I definitely need to be cropping up in here. If I'm that close, if somebody moves back far enough from the camera and it's starting to get down to here, I can leave the top of the head in. I'm capable of it. I get questions like that. They're like, can you shoot without the head cropped off? I was like, I gotta move back, but I think I could pull it off. Yeah, we already spoke about this, and I'm glad it's coming up again. I'm way ahead of myself. I'm like going through this like crazy. Let's talk about direction. All right, so we already did. You guys I think you got this from what I've been saying already, right? You've got to develop a dialogue for yourself that works for you, that makes you feel like you're giving them information that's valuable. If you feel like the information you're directing them towards is good information, it's going to make them feel more confident about you. And then you get better shots because they're more relaxed because they've got some faith in you that you could actually pull this off. People come into my studio and spend $1,100. They better think I can pull it off, right? You know, it's a lot of pressure on them. And before, you know, now, you know, charging that, I know the pressure is there, but I handle it on a daily basis. I'm used to it. You know, if I was just starting and I charged that, there's no way I would be able to handle that. There's no way. You got to start from wherever you're at right now and build up to something like that. You know, and it's not about the business side about it. It's about the way I feel about charging somebody that amount. You know, it's like I wouldn't be charging that if I didn't think it was worth it to them. They're getting a lot of work off my images, and you know, a guy just wrote to me that my headshot was magic, and he got a job with Spielberg. You know, I mean, that's big stuff. If I can get an actor in on 30 more auditions a year with my headshot, what do you think that's worth $1,000 for their career? For their marketing tool that's supposed to last 3 years? They got to spend $1,100 on it? Big deal. If they can't spend $1,100 on a headshot, they don't have an acting career. Are we recording this? All right. Yeah, this is the so my entire photography career and lifestyle has revolved around shooting actors' headshots, guys. So I might just nip that in the butt. Again, I said that word. I'm not supposed to do that. But no, it's important, and I think that the people coming into me value what I do, and them spending that amount of money towards their career must energize them too, to feel like they're going for the best. I'm going to give them the best. Believe me, when I'm shooting every day, I don't care if anybody in this room or anybody on the planet's shooting. There's no better headshots being taken than what's being done in my studio on planet Earth at that moment. It's the way I feel. So what do? We do direct direction, right? How many people do direct direction? Everybody in this room does direct direction. Move your head to the left, move your head to the right, turn this way, turn that way. And as photographers, we have to. If somebody comes in front of your camera and is like, You know, you got to tell them to like get themselves together. You know, you have to move them around. You know, all right, this is the first thing I teach. You want a gift? This is the best thing you could ever learn today. All right? You know how they say the camera adds 10 pounds? I don't believe the camera adds 10 pounds, but we walk around as humans and we like if I just stand normal, like I think there's a little something extra under here. But if I go like this, it immediately goes and I get a strong jawline. This is like modeling 101. And most photographers say, don't say put your chin towards the camera. Most don't say that. So now they're shooting like this. Somebody could be like this and they don't change them. I probably shouldn't mention, well, I saw a picture in the Times of this guy where he's like this and he's like, I'm like, who? And it's a headshot of a guy who works for the Times. I'm like, this is crazy. Crazy. You get the chins out and it's really forehead out and down because if you say chin to your client, they're going to go like this. How many of you've done that? You've had people do that. Yeah, it's weird. Or they'll go like this. They'll like actually try and move their whole jawline forward. So it took me like 5 years to figure this out. I come up with stuff. You got to get your forehead towards the camera. And then that gets it. That gets it. And it's the little things that like appeal to me. So, you know, how many people use the S word? How many people know what the S word is? Yes. 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 How many people say that on a shoot? How many people say that? Never say it again. Don't do that. You can't. As photographers, well, you have to know how to do it, not to have to say it. Your job is to figure out how to say things so you don't have to say that. Because if you say smile, it looks like this. How many people have said smile and the person goes? And then they're in there and they're like, you know, I mean, it's horrible. I told you I was an actor. I could pull this off. It's horrible. It's horrible. So it really doesn't work. Now, what you can tell them is to do soft smiles so that they don't do this, like those people that get in front of the camera and do that. But you got to figure out a way to have fun with them and get them to smile. Go ahead.
You ever try mirroring the technique of some photographs? You put the smile on your face and see if they can get it?
Yeah, it's not with smiling. I mean, I used to do commercial print jobs, and they used to pay me for being able to do this on command. I used to get jobs because of that. I seriously would. My agent would call me and be like, "I don't know how you book all these jobs for smiling, but you're in." You know, I did a job. I raced sailboats. I told you I was training for the Olympics. So some casting directors knew I raced sailboats, so they had a job for Chase where they had a sailboat, and they were like, they needed a model to be in the sailboat and drive it. So this casting director, and this is like, I haven't modeled in 5 years, 10 years, 8 years, whatever. I hadn't modeled since early 2000s. This was like 2 years ago. A casting director, a friend of mine, calls me and goes, "Look, I got this job. You're the first person I thought of. I know you don't model anymore, but could you just come in and meet with me for Chase?" And I go in and she's like, "Okay, they need you to do the smile thing." And I'm like, "Okay, here we go." It's not like that. It's like this. It's like... It's like you really have to act like you are absolutely cracking up. Like, you know, you have to really you fake it like crazy. So I get the job. We go in this catamaran out on Long Island somewhere, and we're sailing for like hours, and the photographer has me smiling like that for hours on end. I mean, I was like, "Look, we have to. I can't do this anymore. Like, there's like, my face is a mess." I was like, and the ad came out it was in Vanity Fair and Vogue and all this other stuff, and I was like, "Cool." Well, anyway, I guess so. You know, if somebody comes in and can pull that off, yes, of course, have them smile. You know, but most can't, and it looks the way I see the difference. So a big difference. That's what they do. So you have to get a smile at them. You have to elicit it, and you got to figure out how to do it. And you know, a lot of it's build up a rapport, find a common thread, joke around with them a little bit. I don't think telling jokes works. I think you just have to kind of figure out how to be funny with that. I don't know. I never did the telling jokes. I mean, I say stupid things, but I don't really tell jokes. But if you get them to smile, it also relax them so you get better serious ones too. You got to be in this mode. This is how it comes. This is how it happens. So you're thinking. So you're shooting and you're thinking. So you're having to create something from nothing in front of when somebody's in front of you. And if it's an actor, they better be able to do this too. I mean, right? Right? Yeah. I mean, that's what they do. So with them, feel free to do that. You know, you got to come up with things instantaneously while you're shooting, you know, to try and figure that out. So, you know, we're improvising on a daily basis. We're trying to figure out to get from how you got here today was improvising when the person walked in front of your path. You improvised and you got around them, you know. Our brains work fast. You can come up with stuff fast. If you don't key in on the technical side of it, you want to get your photography down so that you can direct them, and the technical is not there. If the technical is there and you're worried about your shutter speed, you're never going to get the improvisation down. I talk a lot about talking to actors. I already asked if there's any actors in the room. I got a couple over here. So I start with direct direction, and then I go more towards improvisational direction. And just throwing things and seeing what sticks. And if one thing works with somebody, it's not going to work with another one. So I got to figure something else out. And those, you can tell when somebody's smiling for a reason. I don't have any, I think they're good examples, but you see they're reactive. So there's something that went on that was created there. There's something going on in front of them, and I know what it is. It's me. Anybody recognize her? She's on everything. I don't know. She's done, I don't know. She's working. This girl works. You'll see her. Her name's Belina Govich. I think she was on Law and Order for years, and she's done a lot. She's had her own shows and stuff like that, so you'll see her. This one is on Gossip Girl. This is my main man. This guy is a rock star. So everything you're viewing today was created by this guy. I don't know how to make a slideshow. I have no idea. But I shot this guy, and he works for Apple, and he's like, you got issues. I was like, yeah, I know. I'm going to speak at B&H. He goes, you got to give that to me. He did this slideshow last night. I have never done it before. How am I doing? I'm doing okay? I'm doing all right? So it's because of Sean. So, and I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. But this is Noah. I got a note from Noah after shooting her, and she said she used to get like maybe one audition a week. She said I shot her, started sending my headshots out. She started getting 5 or 6 auditions a week. Is that worth $1,100? You better believe it. I mean, you know, you better believe it. So then it becomes the improvisation is actually coaching and coaching them into the shot. So this is the way I really feel. You got to throw the technical out the window once the person's in front of your camera, guys. You got to forget about it. That's second nature. Lights, camera, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, that is not something that should be on your mind when you got the person in front of your camera ready to roll. When the person is in front of your camera ready to roll, you have to be directing 100% of the time. They have to actively have something to do. Otherwise, you'll get shots that look like this. You guys have all taken those shots, I bet. No? So have I. I take them all the time. Yeah.
Have you ever tried the actor's technique of giving them business?
Of doing what?
Business, giving them business, something to do with their hands or, you know, something, performing some kind of action and then...
It doesn't really work. I have done everything, and when I started, I would have them go through a monologue. That doesn't work. You know, it really is, it can't be them, they can't be too active with me because I'm at 1/60th of a second. He asked if I had got them actively doing anything with their hands or any kind of business in front of the camera. It's hard for me because I'm at slow shutter speeds. If you shoot a strobe or you shoot a higher ISO and you're over 1/160th of a second or something, and maybe you could have move a little bit, you could try that. I'm up for anybody trying anything and seeing, you know, throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks. But I'm here today just to tell you guys to think about this, because most photographers don't think about that. How many people think about that before coming in here? You think more about, oh, what's the camera he's got and how's he shoot it and what technical stuff does he have? The shot is not about that. I could have the most gorgeous girl with the best makeup, the best hair, the best lights, the best camera, and if she's like this in front of the camera, I have no shot. I don't have a shot. What?
The best tripod.
And the best tripod. Thank you. I'm leaning against it. This is major. How I have people come into me I had a girl yesterday, walked in, told me she was unphotogenic. She walked out almost in tears, in good tears, because I told her you're never going to be able to say that again about yourself. I teach people how to be good in front of the camera. I'm finding out how to pull the best out of them. And if you're a professional and these people haven't been in front of a professional camera before, you should be taking the best picture of their life. You know, if they've never been in front of a professional before, if they're in front of professionals all the time, then you're taking your take on a professional picture. But if they're getting the best light and you're directing them well, they're going to get the best pictures of their life. So they're not going to be able to you know, say that this girl just couldn't say it anymore. I mean, you know, I said legitimately, look, you're an actress, you're in this business, your look, you have to embrace your look. If you have any problems with your looks whatsoever, blame your parents. They can blame their parents. I say it all the time. Because I want these people to embrace what they got and then run with it so that their talent can come through. Go ahead.
You say that you shoot tethered. At what point do you share?
That's a good question. All right, she said, this is really interesting. It's a good question. I shoot tethered, at what point do I share with my clients? So I have a mental clicker going off in my head about how many shots I've gotten that I think are good. I'm constantly warming them up, and I'm trying to pull the best out of them. Now, the first look is usually warm up with everybody. Some people get a good shot right off the bat. If you go to my Facebook fan page, I think it's Peter Hurley Photography, I sometimes bring people in and I'll just decide, okay, it's a new day, this is the first shot, I put them in there, I wait till I feel like I have a picture and I'll press the button, and if I say it's the first shot I've taken that day, it's unretouched, it's straight from the camera, and I post it on Facebook. The girl I'm talking about is posted on Facebook right now, and it was her first shot. But it depends on the client. Now I'm in my 90% therapist mode, so it's totally based on that. If I think I got good shots, I'll take them out and I'll show them. If I don't think I have anything, I'll overshoot it, because I'll shoot 100 to keep 10. Actors don't need more than 10 shots. I give them a lot more than 10, but I'll shoot one look, I'll shoot 100 shots to keep 10. So once I think I got 10 shots, I stop. 1 second. And then I'll bring them out. If I don't think if they're just an absolute disaster area in front of the camera, then I'm either, in very rare cases, if it's a woman, I will throw her over to the makeup artist and we're in cahoots. So he knows I'm trying to get her over there, so I delete, like I'll shoot 150, I'll throw her over the makeup artist, I'll delete everything but like 20 of them, I'll leave 10 that I think are okay and 10 so it looks like, you know, I could show her teach her how to get better. And I won't because some people, you'll lose them. If you shoot 150 shots to somebody and there's like 5 good ones, maybe, you're gonna lose them. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna make them worse. But if you shoot 40 shots of somebody and you know you got 10 good ones and you bring them out in front of the camera and you go, look, I'm gonna delete 30 of these because we just don't need them, but there's gonna be 10 really good ones, they're gonna go, oh wow, that is good, okay. And then they get better. So you have to decide what's going on as to when you're going to show them. But
Editing in real time.
yeah, I shoot a look and then I edit, and I use it as a learning tool. Everybody that comes, it's a team effort. Everybody in front of my camera wants to do really well. I want them to do really well. If I can teach them, so now I'm teaching them, I'm coaching them when they're in front of the camera, and when they're out from behind the camera, I'm teaching them how to be better when they are in there. And the review of the shots through focus is the way to do that. Go ahead.
So do you ever coach your clients without shooting the camera? You know, like,
That's
practice?
a little bit. It depends on the scenario I'm in, but most of the time I'm coaching them. I'll teach them things. Like I'll teach them things. Like I might teach them this because some people just don't get the chin out makes you look so much better. So I'll show them and they'll go like this, or they'll go like it's weird. So I'll take them out, I'll put them in front of the mirror, and I'll go. Like, mirror work really works well. If you're stuck, get them in front of a mirror and just show them, you know, because that's helpful. Or if you're tethered, you can show them when they do it, like, you know, they do something and you shoot it and then it looks better, you know, after you tell them to do something, you show them that and they go, oh, okay, I got it. It's interesting because they will learn generally. Generally, people will learn. So, it's like I said, go ahead.
If you didn't have all of your fancy lighting equipment, what would you, and you said natural light coming through the window, what would you shoot up against?
I'd do what I did when I did it. It would be it was a white foam core board that just stood there, and I just I had a futon like in front of the window, and the person like was on that, so the window's a little bit higher than them. I mean, that you want large windows. And then I put the white board, like I actually had a V, you know, everybody know what a V-flat is? V-flats are when you tape two foam core boards together that are white on one side, black on the other, and they form an L. So I had two L's around it was like a box of light that I did, so the window just filled that box, and that was it. And if I didn't have any money, and that was what I could still be doing that now and getting good results, for sure.
What is the distance that you use from the subject to the background? I mean, how many feet?
Oh, that's a good question. With me, when I'm shooting my setup, the distance between the subject and the background is about 10 feet, I think. 10 feet? About 10.
And you put the lights to the background?
Yeah, and then I put the V-flats around them in black so that they don't get any spill from the lights on the background. And the lights on the background are just adjusted very fine-tuned on that Alien B so that the background's just barely white. If you go too much power, they're going to get a little wash on them, and I don't like that. Yeah, go ahead.
You're saying you like the background with the V's shooting into the V-flat?
No, the V-flats are just, the B, let's say this is an Alien B, the V-flat would be here and the subject would be here. So the V-flat is between the Alien B and them, so there's no spill from the Alien B to the person.
Oh, so you're shooting
Just blocking them.
straight at the background, no diffuser or wide.
Yeah, no, just straight at the background. If you're shooting that V-flat system with natural lightness, you can get a southern-facing window. You want to start a headshot business? Go buy an apartment with a southern-facing window that's tall, and then just get ready to adjust your white balance, because as the sun changes on a daily basis, that's the other thing I couldn't stand when it went color with that. I was like, the color of the light changes all out throughout the day like crazy. You know, you're shooting somebody in the afternoon, and now your business is hurt because it gets dark so early. You're like, oh, what am I going to do? And then in the winter, the sun angle is lower in the sky, so it comes right at them. In the summer, it goes up, and it's like bizarre. It changes like crazy. So I like consistency, and that's why I mean, it worked business-wise to move away from that too. But you know, it's great. You know, you can't, like I said, the sun's free. Sit yourself on a big windowsill, and put your person in front of you, and they'll look fantastic. So finding a common thread's big. You guys recognize that character? You recognize him? It's Chris Matthews from, he has his own show on MSNBC called Hardball. And I had him come into the studio. His book just came out on JFK, and I shot the the shot for the back jacket cover of him, and he calls me directly. I've shot a handful of celebrities. It's very rare that they call me directly, and he's like, Peter, this is Chris Matthews. I'm like, hi, I know you. I mean, it was like, so I was like, I don't watch his show, but I know the guy, I've seen him around. And he walks into my studio. So now I'm thinking, I'm psyched I got him, right? I'm shooting his headshot for the back for this book cover of JFK, which is gonna sell like crazy. And he's coming to my studio, and I have a very limited amount of time with him. So I'm like, how am I gonna get this guy? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna try and find a common thread. I don't know what that's gonna be. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna direct him. He walks in the door, and I think he's like everybody else. He's a little apprehensive about getting his picture taken, even though he's in front of the camera all day long. A still picture is different, because you gotta be still. Your pose, you're different than, he's an animated guy. He's has a lot of energy on camera, and you have to tone that down. And then he wants to look good on his book, So he comes to me, and we start talking, and we're getting to know each other, and I don't know what we were talking about, but one of my clients who I shot before him left a shirt there, and she came in, and she must have seen him, because she was like, is that Chris Matthews? And I was like, yeah. She goes, I'm like the biggest fan. Can I meet him? And I was like, sure, why not? I was like, yeah, come on in. So we go, I have a front waiting area. She was in there. I brought her into the back where he was, and she walked up to him, and she's like, hi, oh my gosh. She goes, I'm an actress. And he says, oh, my son's an actor. And he just instantly started talking to her about that. I was like, okay. And he says, here's a picture of him. And he pulls out of his wallet a picture of his son, and I shot his son. I was like, what? I was like, I shot him. No way. And he goes, you shot those pictures? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh my gosh. Instantly, boom, I had him. I knew I had him. I was like, this is great. And I had a great session with his son's totally cool. I had a great time with him. So I was like, your son's awesome. I mean, I'm like psyched that you're here, and this is cool. Now I get to shoot you. And that instantly broke the ice, and we had a really great session. And this is just one of the pictures that I liked out of it. Anyway. Talk about, you pull stuff out of their life. I'm legitimately interested in what the person's life is like that's in front of my camera.
Sorry, the picture of Chris Matthews, you didn't crop the head because his hairline is too...
No, I didn't crop the head on that. So look, here's a good example. I'm further back. I didn't crop the head probably because I thought maybe what happens is I shoot for Simon & Schuster, and a lot of times I crop the head and they go, you can't crop it. What if we need to put it in a store and it's got to fit on this, like this? Like with this, you can go to infinity with the background, whatever you want to do with that. So for authors on a case, I'll shoot my way like I did, and I don't know, I haven't seen the book yet, so I have to go look and see what the shot looked like. I know the shot he picked, but I forget off the top of my head whether I cropped his head, no pun intended. But I do that, and when I do it, I just barely want to get it in because I still like the framing on this one, but it's a good question. I'm glad you noticed that. All right, talk about their life. Yeah, I rarely talk about photography when I'm shooting. I don't want to, I don't, right? I don't really talk about, this is Lindsay, my assistant. I don't really talk about photography that much. So you don't want them to concentrate on it. I just try and keep the subject, talk about something that's the common thread or whatever. The best thing that you can do is act like you're not paying any attention to the photography whatsoever. Because you just want to make it seem like you're not even concerned about that. The minute that the photographer starts fiddling with the camera and stuff, the client is going, they don't know what they're doing. How are they going to take my picture? They have no idea what they're doing. They can't, the pictures are coming out dark, your shutter sync's off. When I started, I didn't know what shutter sync was. I had a Mets flash on the back on this camera that I bought in Spain. I was shooting my friend at a restaurant at night, and all the pictures were black. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I decided right there, I'm only shooting in the daylight from now on. I was like, that's it. I had no idea. I was like, there's a sink? Somebody. Anyway, I didn't know that. So you try and dumb down the importance of the shoot. So yeah, externally you're like that. So this is a good example. So externally, I'm acting like I'm cool as a cucumber. Internally, I'm going, this person's stiff as a board. What the heck am I going to say to this person? I got to figure out how to get them cool because they're spending this amount of money and I got to get it now and I got the next client coming in 20 minutes. What am I going to do? You know, but outside I'm like, yeah, just chill out, you know, no problem. Let's go, you know, or whatever I'm saying, you know, but that's really it. Here's a funny story. How many people have seen this before? Like I said, this is part of my 90% of my therapy. So I found this, somebody showed me this and I flipped out about it. How many people have seen the arrow? Find the arrow, guys. Now you're starting to see it. A lot of people had seen it already. You're starting to see it. Who doesn't see the arrow? People don't see the arrow, right? Some people don't see the arrow. I'll give you a hint. The arrow, how about the spoon? Do you see the spoon? I'll give you a hint. The spoon is right there. All right? And there's the arrow. All right? So I have this sitting next to my computer. Do you know that here's the story behind that? I was shooting Miss Universe. This is Mpuli, and she won it in 1999, I think. And I was shooting this shot for a magazine, and she's from Botswana. I was shooting for a magazine over there, and I'm editing. Like I said, I was doing my edits, right? And she says to me, "I can't stand my face," or she turned to her husband and says she can't stand her face, and I was just like. I just started cracking. I was like, this is awesome. This is the best story I have to tell every human being who tells me that, because you're Miss Universe. I was like, if Miss Universe can't stand her face, how do you think the mortals feel? I mean, come on. She can't stand her face. This is normal. We're human. You know, everybody knows what bugs them about their face. Well, I'm here to tell you that especially with actors, it's the arrow, because the casting director is reading FedEx. And you're looking at something on your face that's the arrow. That's there, believe me. That whatever it is that bugs you, that earlobe that's freaking enormous, is there. But the casting director does not see it. You like that, right? So you're taking a shot. Hold on, it's going to circle the stuff again for you. I don't know why he circled the spoon first. I would have talked about the arrow first. He circled the spoon, so I worked that in pretty well. See, this is the first time doing this. So I had her say this, and I was just like, it was the best ammunition for every single person that walks into my space. So I use that FedEx thing every day, and I tell the story about Miss Universe almost every day, right? I mean, I do it a lot.
What about the catch lights?
Okay.
I have a problem with that.
That's a good question.
It looks kind of alien-ish.
Yeah, that's a good question. I never care about the catch lights. I care about the light. So if the light on the face is good, the catch lights are doing what they do. Yeah, I could shape them differently, and it does look a little alienish, I agree. But look at the light on her face.
It's fun.
It's gorgeous. So I always did my lighting first, and then, you know, I've had photographers in like forums talk about this, about the catch lights, and I was like, I do not care. The catch lights change so much in my work because of the way I'm moving things around. She's a little bit further away than I normally shoot, so the catch light's a little stranger than my norm, I think. And I see exactly what you mean, but I care more about the light than I do the catch light.
She seems like she has kind of a catch light in her nose, though.
Well, I mean, that's what the lights do. They do create some of that stuff. It's interesting. That's an interesting thing. So maybe I would have the retoucher touch that up, or maybe he did something to it. I don't know. But that's something that I could always change later, or maybe I should have noticed that if it was doing that. Maybe that's what she doesn't like about herself. So here's my workflow. So I take the raw images, I shoot them, I discard what's unwanted. They go straight into the computer tethered. We upload low-res images to a proofing site. The site goes to, and I explain how it all is going to work with the client with my retoucher and my printer. My retoucher and printer's colorworksnyc.com. They do all my printing, all my retouching. If you shoot headshots, just walk in there. They're amazing, and they will do the best job for you. Hands down. colorworksnyc.com. It's Joe Barna. He's been printing and retouching my stuff for years, and I trust him with every one of my clients. So it's a no-brainer. You can go there. He'll give you a free proofing website where you can upload your clients to, and you can start using his services for free. And then you just send clients, and he'll do the retouching and printing for you. I archive with my Drobo in my studio, and I also have a Drobo at Colorworks where all my stuff goes, so I have an off-site archive. Does everybody know what a Drobo is? They're right behind this wall. They're awesome. You can go buy one right now if you need it. If your storage, to me, is really important. Archiving is really important. You don't want to lose your files. You guys are photographers. They're valuable. They're really important, and I back them up like crazy. The Drobo just keeps me organized and safe. And I have two of them, so I have one at Colorworks that keeps mine and one in my studio.
It's a hard drive?
It's an external, hard drive. It's like a RAID system that you put the drives into. It takes two, mine have 2 terabytes in it now, drives in it now, and there's 8 of them, so it's holding 16 at the moment. They just made 3 terabyte drives for it, so you could put, I think there's, I don't know how many fit in the one. I have the Drobo Pro. Check it out. It's right here. It's right behind this wall. And it's awesome. And memory just keeps getting cheaper, and cameras files keep getting bigger. So just keep pouring stuff into your externals. Go ahead.
So when you upload the low resolution pictures to the website, does Colorworks use the low res, or do they?
I upload the low res, but then they get an external drive that goes between our studios.
And that's just for you though.
Yeah, or we use WeTransfer, guys. Write this down. How many people use WeTransfer? Oh, you guys are gonna like this. Go to WeTransfer.com when you want to. What?
Is that the memory card?
No, WeTransfer.com is just sending big files, but it's so simple. It's easy. You don't have to sign up for an account. It sends them to any email address. People download them right away. It's just great.
Do the high res that way.
And I can do the high res. So let's say I shoot a client. I shot somebody this morning, right? Let's say there was a press release this afternoon. I need to get it to my retoucher. I shoot the person. I export a TIFF file, or I give them, the Hasselblad has a FFF file. I could send that through WeTransfer over to him. He gets it instantly, and boom, works on it, and it's out the door. Everything is moving faster now. So let me just, how's my time? My time's okay. Let's see. Retouching and printing at Colorworks. Client never receives high-res images because I don't like to give out my work for quality control purposes. Joe Barna and I have been working together for 9 years. He's at Colorworks. I think I'm going to answer questions in a minute, but I got a couple videos for you to see that are pretty cool. And I think this word's important. I think when you're dealing with photography, it's your own thing. We're all artists. It's an open medium. If you like shooting people, you got to explore what it is for you that you got to build an aesthetic for yourself that you want to see in front of your camera, and get that person to produce something that you feel is valuable or nice, or like something that you would be proud of handing into, or putting out on a press release or putting on Facebook or whatever. But you got to explore by experimenting with as many different people as you can get in front of your camera. People always ask me, well, how do I get started? What do I do? I said, just get somebody in front of your camera every day, whether they're paying you or not. Who cares? It doesn't matter if they're an actor. It's just people. People all react the same. It doesn't matter what they're doing, but just play with it. So I've been exploring this for 9 years, and I was told by, does anybody know Zach Arias? Zach is a photographer who does some teaching and stuff, and he's awesome. You can look at his website and stuff like that. He does a workshop called the One Light Workshop. He's spoken at Creative Live. I think he spoke at Photo Expo this year, but I missed it. He did, yeah. Anyway, he talked to me a year ago and he said, you should start teaching. And I was like, I don't know what would I teach? And then I was like, I just started thinking about it. And he's like, do a DVD and teach. I now have a DVD and I teach. And this is what I teach. Is that working?
Now you're firing on all cylinders. Drop the shoulder and business. Chin down slightly. No, it looks like you got all sorts of issues. I like them on this side. That's it. Make you look like a freaking stockbroker badass. Chin down. Nose this way. Shoulder out. Keep turning. Turn the body a little bit less. There you go. Nose this way. James, the reason why I show everybody everything is so that they learn.
Get the lights closer to
I would bring all this into here. The catch lights, I could see what you're kind of doing. She's smoking. How cool is that, guys? That's pretty cool. Remember, something in between the ears. Don't put too much good stuff in this thing, Pete. We don't want to show people, you know, the goods.
The best thing that I learned for the intensive would be how to in the tip of.
You're giving them good stuff. Oh, that's too much. Let me put this down right now. My work is not about a white background. What it is about is, I don't say that to clients, that freak them out. Nose towards the light. Which word didn't you understand? We've got 10 actors coming, guys. So we are gonna do a lot of shooting.
The way he handles clients and the way he manipulates them to get that perfect shot is just unreal.
It was pretty crazy. I mean, I got so many shots. There's all these beautiful people and different people, and they were all different ranges from being really scared in front of the camera to being
Youngest guy,
normal in front of
17
the
years
camera.
old.
It was awesome.
Amazing. Started his
so
own business
crazy,
after taking
like,
this intensive.
It's like nobody I've ever met before and nothing I've ever experienced before, and my work went from here to here.
There's just so much stuff I didn't think of. I was never really good at it. I feel like I've come leaps and bounds.
He brings the best out of you, like really. He will look at your work and tell you what you need to improve on. And not only on shooting, it's a rapport with your client.
Besides all of the incredible knowledge and photographs, headshots I was able to obtain over the weekend, the one thing I want to say about Peter Hurley, and the thing that impressed me the most about this family, is Peter Hurley shoots from the heart.
I think the biggest value of the headshot intensive for me was increased confidence. I just feel like having gone through all the shots with Peter and seeing what he values and having him look at my work and give me pointers and all that and watching him shoot, it's just I know more what to look for and what makes a good photo good and a bad photo bad.
I'm the one everybody's chasing because I stuck to my guns. I mean, I really feel like you guys don't know how much I went through with people not liking the white background and the horizontal and the chopped off heads and everything, and I stuck with it. And now I say to them, how could I be considered the best at this in the country if it doesn't work? Obviously it works. Every actor that we shoot wants to be famous or a celebrity or have a flourishing career where they can make a life out of this entertainment industry. Then they gotta look cool in their pictures. Look at me when I'm talking to you. If you're looking in the camera, you care too much about each time do you think I care how many pictures I take of you? Do you think I care how many? I don't want you to care every time I press this button. Do you think I care? I don't want you caring. There you go, good.
So you got a little taste of it there. Yeah, it's a fun weekend. I love doing it. My next one's in LA, December 3rd and 4th, and then I put up 2012. I have a studio in LA, so I do it there too. It's great. New York is going to be, we're doing January 21st and 22nd. LA is the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of March, and then another one in New York. I do it about every other month. I try and do it in New York. Depending on my shooting schedule and stuff like that. But it's just the best weekend of the month for me. I am game on for a long time. It's great. So that's the headshot intensive. Here's the art behind the headshot. And it's going for $300. You can go to my website and pick it up if you want it. The reviews have been phenomenal. I did it with the guys from F-Stoppers. You can go. Does everybody know F-Stoppers? Go to fstoppers.com, guys. I mean, they have the coolest videos on there. It's amazing. And Lee and Patrick are just the best guys. And I wouldn't be teaching or doing any of this without them, because Lee came to my studio. Lee called me when he was a college student and asked me about headshots, and he said he was calling a bunch of photographers, and I was the only guy who called him back. And we've been friends ever since. He asked me if he could do a video. There's one on my website. There's one on their website of me shooting headshots that was, before we did this DVD. We did this original F-Stoppers video, and it's awesome too. It's really cool. So I feel like these guys have really turned my career into this whole teaching thing, and the with the reviews online and the amount of, I'm on Facebook and Twitter, and people are like blowing it up with like how it's changing their pictures. And I want people to take this thing, take the information that I'm talking about today a little bit that's in here, and it's 4 hours long, and just run with it, and people are. So this is Lee and Patrick, and they're gonna talk a little bit about the DVD.
When we first decided to do this DVD, I thought this is going to be the most intensive tutorial DVD on headshot photography. And I really thought that's kind of all it's going to embrace. It's just going to cover headshots. But I quickly learned that this can be applied to any field of photography.
So you're a professional photographer, and I think a lot of professional photographers overlook this step.
It's me.
This is for your career. You need to know how the human what the human face is conveying to your camera, no matter who your client is.
I remember we got into his studio before we ever started filming. He says, "Hey guys, come over, check out this guy that I just shot." And he starts going through the pictures, and he goes, look at the way he's smiling, look at his eyes, he just looks out of it.
That's
I'm like,
Chris
yeah, he
Matthews'
looks kind of
son.
goofy. He's like, all right, watch. And he
There he
starts
is.
clicking through the pictures, and he stops, and he goes, okay, here, I take him out, I bring him in front of the computer, and I show him what he's doing wrong. Are you ready to see how much better the pictures get? And I go, yeah, I'm ready to see. Shows us the next picture. Whoa, it looks like a different guy.
So at the beginning of my sessions, I get people in there and I take a shot, and I look at where I'm starting from. And I've got my light, I got my camera, I take a shot, I didn't direct them yet, and they look fairly blank and out to lunch. Then I start my coaching. I start directing them, I start looking at their angles, I start to bring the juices into the shot by coaching them and bringing things out. And that's when I get a shot like this. And that's where you're really gonna see the difference in your work.
Every picture is so much better than it was, and when you look at the last 10 images compared to the first 10 images, it's just not the same person. And at that point, I realized, oh my gosh, this has nothing to do with Peter Hurley's white background or his, Kino flow lights. He completely changed this guy's face. I didn't know a photographer could even do that.
Okay, look in the mirror. I want you, when you're in the doctor's
the mirror
office
work, see?
and you read the eye chart and you get to the end and you're like XZW. Like imagine, look deep in that lens and be like, no, look at me. Look at my eyes. Yeah, it's got to. You gotta have that muscle memory for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Not for today. Today I'm gonna force you to do it, and I'm gonna watch you and make you get it. But you gotta do it for the rest of your career because nobody's gonna tell you in front of cameras.
Peter makes it so clear that his photography is not about the white background and the Peter Hurley lighting. I mean, we've kind of got that here, and I look nothing like a Peter Hurley headshot.
So this is the secret setup people have been chatting about in forums for years. It's not about the light. It's about the expressions and what I'm pulling out of the people. Yeah, it's nice light, but now you know it. You can go do it. Get it with Kinos, get it at flow lights, get strip boxes and soft boxes and strobes and throw it in there and do it yourself. But work on your expression with your people so you can get life out of them.
I wouldn't believe it unless I saw it. And I saw him do it 7 times over the course of 3 days. And that's what this whole DVD is about. Taking somebody that, was just an average person and turning them into a celebrity, really. Because when you see these celebrities in magazines, they look good all the time. How do they do it? So much of the time, it's people on the red carpet, they just have direct flash. It's not about the lighting, it's not about anything. It's about their facial expression. And I've never really thought about that before. That's what Peter's a master of.
Why do you think celebrities look interesting in front of cameras? Generally they look really great. I believe it's because a photographer coached them into it, or they know from photographers coaching them how to work a camera, right? Well, we're going to teach you how to get your people to work the camera so that your pictures look better.
And I think as photographers, it's really easy just to think, well, I can only do so much with what I'm working with. You look like you, so I'm just going to take a bunch of pictures and pull out the best photo. What I learned through this whole experience was, it is up to me to make them look like a rock star. I can take 100 pictures and pull out the best 2 or 3, and they're going to be okay. But what Peter does is he gets them to feel it. He gets them to believe it. And so he may still have 100 photos, but in those 100 pictures, there's so many keepers.
They hired you. So they're hiring you for a good shot. You can't rely on them for anything. They could be amazing in front of the camera and make your job very easy, but it's your job to get the shot.
In the past, I've shot models, and the pictures turn out amazing. And I always say to myself, oh, they're a great model, you know? And then I shoot other models, and maybe they're beautiful in person, but I look at the pictures, and I'm like, they're not as good of a model. Why is that? What are they doing? Well, they're posing themselves, and they're changing their face in such a way that looks great. As a photographer, shouldn't I know what they're doing? Shouldn't I be the one telling them what to do to make them look good? I've never even thought about doing that. I just thought, well, as the model, that's their job. But what about everybody else on the planet who's not a supermodel? How do they know what to do with their face, or how do they know what to do with their body?
Drop the body this way, like this, even more. That's it, tilt the head this way. Chin up. Don't move. Don't move, don't change anything.
He really shows you what you need to do from a model standpoint. He used to be a model. So he shows you everything that he used to do to make money in the modeling career, and he teaches you how to teach that to your client. And it's shocking to me that I've never once even thought about it, but now that I know, it's huge. I can't photograph a person without using the things that he's taught me.
From what we've learned today, there's 3 things you can change on your face: mouth, eyes, eyebrows. Number 2 is mouth. It's the most active thing on your face.
After working with Peter for 3 days, I know without a shadow of a doubt that his headshots are successful not because of the lighting or the background, but because he brings the best out of people.
I was telling you, mouth, eyes, eyebrows, there's 2 other ways. There's one's your body, and the other one's your neck. So body movement can change expression by the way that you're moving and what it emotes. But here's a neck thing. If I give you a look like this, it's one thing, but watch if I go like this. Changes my expression completely. So you can get people to do little tilts and little things that give the expression to the camera.
He has this book that he goes through with all these famous actors, and all of them have such similar looks on their faces, and he tries to coach each of the actors that he shoots into looking this certain way. Really approachable, but confident at the same time. And one of the pages, he has pictures of Brad Pitt. I don't know for how long, maybe it's 20 years. Pictures of Brad Pitt every year for 20 years. And in every single picture, Brad Pitt looks like a badass. He looks the exact same. He's making the same face, except for the earliest picture, and it's before Brad Pitt was ever famous. And he looks so goofy, and he looks so out of it. You know, he looks like the average person. He just got a snapshot taken of him. And you can see, okay, he didn't know what he was doing in front of the camera here. He learned here, and he didn't forget it for the last 20 years. This is the way he looks.
This is a good one. I like this. So he's usually got his act together. You never see this guy off his game. In 1987, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. That's Brad Pitt before he knew he was Brad Pitt.
If you're not already a professional photographer, this DVD is probably going to still leave you with questions about how to light and apertures and shutters and maybe your ISO speed. Those are kind of the prerequisite of coming into this tutorial. Peter just assumes that you know that, and he touches on it a little bit. But for the most part, this is how do you make the best photos day in and day out? How do you make your pictures look better than anybody else doing the exact same thing?
No, I got better headshots already than you've ever had. I guarantee it. There's no way. All right, hold that. I'm serious. Come see that. There's no way you have a better headshot than that.
Peter also goes into every detail of his business. I mean, he talks about marketing. He talks about pricing your work. He talks about printing, hair, makeup, coaching, camera gear, lighting, everything that goes into running a successful photography business, we tried to add into this thing.
And I just came to the realization just this year, after doing it for about 8 years, that I have something that is worth sharing, and I'm not afraid to share it anymore. And I want you guys to go out there and take the best frickin' pictures you can.
Peter Hurley just watched a rough cut, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, this is priceless. This is everything that I've learned over the past 10 years in one 4-hour DVD." And $300 is nothing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, goodness, he charges $1,200 for a headshot. That's, you know, a quarter of that is the DVD. And I've got to tell you, filming this thing and editing it for months has completely changed my style of photography. And I've been a professional photographer for 6 years. But the way that I shoot people now, it's not the same at all.
You know what, now that you've seen this DVD, you're gonna notice things differently. When you look through magazines, you're gonna see those expressions that really resonate with you and look interesting, and have the actors where they're doing their super cool squint and all that stuff. And you'll see the deer in the headlights shots where the people look uncomfortable and out to lunch. You're gonna notice that. I want you to notice it in your own work. I want you to develop a trained eye for your own work so that you can see it as you're shooting, and then you can learn to coach people towards it because you've got a vibe for it yourself and you know what you're going for.
There's huge differences in trends with film or digital or lighting or color that are going to change, 30 years from now. But the way someone's face looks and the way that you're able to manipulate that and make it look good in front of a camera, it's going to be as relevant in 100 years as it is today. And I don't know that I've ever come across anything that really explains that in the amount of detail that this DVD does.
How about if I tell you to look befuzzled? Good. All that. I make up words, don't worry. Most of the stuff that I do if I'm making silly expressions is to get them to a good one. Just get them to realize that this isn't so serious, that their headshot isn't like, it has to be perfect every time. If I mess with them, it's amazing. Every time I get one where they're being totally crazy or silly or whatever, the next shot is usually the best smile I get of the whole day.
If you look at some of the celebrities from years ago, Marilyn Monroe or James Dean, why do they look so good? It's not because the lighting was any different or anything. It's their facial expression. It's everything that they're giving the camera from their face. And Peter Hurley has mastered that, and he knows exactly what they're doing with their face. I never knew. I just looked at it and said, man, they look good in there. I want to get a picture like that. I hope I can find a model that can make that face. Peter Hurley can make anybody make that face.
I saw an opportunity. I saw a niche in the market that I thought could be tapped into. And what that was a gap between celebrity and advertising portrait photographers and headshot photographers. I thought headshot photographers generally did things on a flat level that weren't intriguing, and advertising and celebrity portrait photographers did things in a very interesting way. I thought if I could do that interesting thing with headshots, I would be successful.
I have never seen any books, any tutorials online, any DVDs. I've never seen anything talk about interacting with a human and manipulating the human face like this DVD does. Models know this. Celebrities know this. Maybe some of the top photographers in the world know this, but the average photographer has never even thought about this stuff before.
Gorgeous. But you know where I'm going to take this. So the light's perfect. I love the exposure. I love the light. You got a headshot if you need it, but now we're going to take her somewhere using mouth, eyes, eyebrows, okay? So watch this. All right. Hold that smile. Hold that smile. Hold that. Perfect. Hold that. Hold that. Hold that.
Those guys are amazing, and I wouldn't have done it without them. I mean, they were the ones who came to me with the idea, and it just means a lot to me that they stand so, proud behind the product that we created. So anyway, I hope you guys look into it if you're interested in making a purchase of it.
Peter, one thing I've taken away from the last hour and 40 minutes is your personal connection with the person you're photographing. Yet your lighting setup looks like it separates you from that person.
I don't really, I mean, I got to get light underneath them. So when I move that light and do a 3/4 shot, I guess I'm right next to them.
Do
But
they see your face through the light? Or
not really.
They
It's
hear
kind
your
of
voice?
hard. It's like you're in a spaceship or something. It's really weird. It's crazy when you get in there. I get in there sometimes. I'm like, wow, this is weird. You know, yeah, it's strange, but it seems to work. It's never hampered me, and I think it might even get in the way of them being, so freaked out because it's such a strange experience. So it might even add to that, and which might help me because they're not thinking about their face. They're thinking, what is all this stuff? And then I'm just guiding them along. Let me just run through this because it's almost done, and then I'll open it up for questions. Okay, guys? So I have a thing called PH2. I have an associate photographer program, and I have photographers worldwide getting involved in it. I'm launching a new website in the next week or so, where anybody in this room, anybody in the world can go on and get a free gallery in it. And I want it to be the resource to find the best headshot photographers worldwide. And right now I have photographers working I have a PH2 link on my website that you can check out. I have photographers in different areas of the globe, but this thing is really going to open it up to a worldwide audience. And anybody that's looking for getting a headshot is going to be able to access the best headshot. It's going to be an elite crew of headshot photographers, hand-selected by me, but everybody in the world could potentially put a gallery there, click on a button, say submit to Peter, and I look at it, and I coach about the pictures to the person who submitted them to see if they're valid. I got a guy in, I've got one in London, one in Madrid, I have one in Rotterdam, I have them all over the US already. But when this thing launches, we don't have a way for people to add images to a gallery yet, and we haven't set up the free aspect of it. So when it launches in the next week or two, there's a place to sign up for my newsletter on my website. If you want to do it, you'll get a note about it. You can do a free gallery, and then you could start using it, put headshots on there. If you want to submit it to try and become a PH2 associate photographer, there'll be a button there, and then it will come to me, and then I'll review it. And I don't know how crazy it's going to go or how it's going to work, but Lindsay and I are going to take it on and see where it goes. So definitely try it out. It should be happening in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to say, but my web guy's been saying that for the last 6 months. So he's sounding more adamant about it, that it's actually going to happen. So anyway, that's that. Online, this is where you can find me. My website's peterhurley.com. If you need to email me, if you have any questions or anything, you can fill out the contact form at peterhurley.com or send an email to info@peterhurley.com. My personal Facebook page is Peter Hurley Photographer. Peter Hurley Photography is my fan page, so you can hit both of those. That's my Twitter. These are the F-Stoppers guys and Colorworks. They didn't put but it's fstoppers.com or colorworksnyc.com. Definitely go see Joe Barna or sign up. He has free proofing galleries for you to start putting your work up there. And if you want to use them for retouching and printing, I highly recommend it. He's on 39th between 5th and 6th.
When you send it, do you send it in RAW or do you send it in JPEGs?
The JPEGs go into the online gallery, the proofing gallery for the client, and then once the client chooses which shots they want to use, those raw files go to Joe. That's the way it works. So they don't even have to send them anything until your client orders. And then you can use WeTransfer to get it to them, or you can go over there. Then the client goes and meets with him if the client's in New York. I have clients in LA. He'll do it via email through them. But most of the time the clients go in there and sit down with them and have a little talk about what the before and afters. Now I can open up for questions because I think that's about where I was, and there's just some pictures left. Go ahead.
Okay, so sorry, still about this Colorworks. I use reproductions and I have to upload the high res, like 400 images at a time, and it takes forever. So I'm wondering if, he wouldn't have a copy of an external for me. I would send him low res.
he does it for me just because we've been together forever. But now I don't know if you even need it. We've been transferring the last month, right?
And then he'll tell me when, or the
Yeah.
client will let me know, then I'll
No,
just,
he'll let you know.
and then I'll just transfer him to 2 or 4.
Right, right. So the client, there you go.
So we transfer as WI or WE?
WE transfer, yeah. All one word, yeah, go ahead.
The price of the prints is not included in your services, right?
No, the price of the prints is all at colorworksnyc.com. It's like $120 for 100 of them or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. The retouching is $45 an image.
And that's over and above your fee.
That's got nothing to do with me. That goes directly to Joe. Yeah, that's directly to Joe. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to. That's the other thing. Once your client's done with you, just get them out of there. Go on, you know. You know, I love them, but go to Joe. Let him deal with you now. You know.
What effect do eyeglasses have on your lighting setup?
Oh, it's a good question. It depends on if they paid extra for the anti-glare. Did you?
Absolutely.
You did. Yeah, I can tell. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But I'm like a professional at telling how much they spent on the anti-glare because there's different levels of it. There's one that creates a lot of color in it. And it's like and then if they don't pay for it, it's a major problem for me because I cannot get this light well, here it is. Look, so let's say we don't know if those were anti-glare or not because they're so low on his face.
You know, when they tilt him down, it makes you look older. Even though he's older already, but for a young person to tilt down gives him the grandfather look. I try to stay away from that grandfather look on younger guys.
Uh-huh. Oh, this kind of look. I don't know. I love that shot. I don't know why. I don't know if I told them to do that with his glasses or they just did that. But it's just the expression behind it is why I like it. I normally would not shoot somebody with glasses like that. That was like a rare event. But I do love the picture. But yeah, the glasses thing's a problem. It's tough.
Somebody had a very interesting suggestion a few classes ago. Buy cheap glasses, cheap frames without glass, and give it to them when you take the shot.
Well, that's
$1.
well. What I tell them to do if they wear glasses and they aren't anti-reflective, I tell them to go to Lens Crafters or something. Take the lenses out. I'll shoot you, and then you'll pop them back in. You don't. Well, the glass.
One collection of them in the.
Well, the glass is style thing. I shoot people that are in fashion. They're not going to take $1 pair of glasses and put them on for their headshot. I mean, come on, you know. So, yeah, okay.
What were you doing with the tape measure and how far are you from it?
Oh, I don't remember the distance. I measured it because I did the tape. So we did remember when he said that I looked at the rough cut and I freaked out? I freaked out when I saw the rough cut. I thought it was great. But they sent it to a test group, and the test group said, well, we want to know about his lights. How far are they? Can you measure how far they are from the person's face? I would never think of that. I would be like, I was like, okay, somebody asked for that, we'll give it to them. I aim to please. I want to give as much information as I can. So I did it just to have it on there so the people that are the real tech heads, they're out there. They need to know like everything, and I'm happy to answer it, but I don't work that way. I throw it against the wall and see what sticks, and that's how all this happened. I never knew that I was going to put Kino flows in a square. That's why I like the catch light. I never knew what a catch light was. I didn't know. I just cared that the light looked like that,
You mentioned that they don't get the high-res files?
I don't give out high-res files, yeah.
Is that the norm?
I think a lot of photographers don't care and they give their photos away. I lock everybody in and have to go to Colorworks because the final product, they're paying me $1,100. The final product's the print. Or if they're using it online, it's the retouch product. But if a retoucher over-retouches my stuff, or they go to CVS and they print it out, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not thrilled. It's the final product. That's what they got. That's what the casting director sees with my, let's say they ask who shot that and the print looks dark or purple or, the tone's not right. I don't want that on my work.
What about the size that you do give to the client? I mean, what is the size of it? Is the resolution?
Oh,
Because
yeah, they paid me $1,100. I'll give them a low-res JPEG file that they can use online if they want. I just don't want them printing it out 8x10. So Hasselblad, the Focus software, has presets for the size of the output for the low-res JPEGs, And I just put it on the lowest and give them that, and hopefully they don't print it. I had a retoucher, an unauthorized retoucher, contact me saying, hey, I retouched these shots of yours. And I'm looking at them and I'm going, first of all, you're not allowed to touch my stuff, and I'm about to freak out. But a client gave them to her, and she retouched low-res shots. And then I was like, this guy can't use it. I called the guy right away. I was like, what are you doing? Oh, you can't do that. And I told her, I was like, look, great, I'm glad you're excited about retouching my work, but never touch it again.
So how many shots are you giving? Like, how many prints?
I don't give any prints. They print out as many as they want. I don't have anything to do with the price. They're paying me for a session sitting fee.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it.
So they can print
They can
whatever.
print, they can go nuts with ColorWorks. And Joe and I have a good relationship, so I just, he's been working for me so long that I was like, take the, the retouching thing, when I went digital, I went to the ICP. I did take some Photoshop courses. I went to the ICP to learn Photoshop because I was going from film to digital. I was like, now I don't have to be in the darkroom. Wait, I can make money doing the retouching. I thought this was a brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea if you're slow. If you're busy, it's a mess. You got to deal with the clients again. You got to spend time with them. It was like a disaster. So I called Joe and I said, look, I'm going digital. I'm not going to work with you anymore. And the poor guy, I worked with him. I was like jamming at that point, and we'd worked together for 2 or 3 years. And I'm serious, I think I lasted a month. And I called him back and I was like, you got to help me out. I was like, let me just give it all to you. So, I made a little bit of extra money. If you're just starting your business and you think you're really good at retouching and you feel confident, that to me the general rules on retouching is I don't want to see it. If I can tell it's been retouched, you did too much. If I can tell it's been retouched, the casting director can tell. And they don't want people retouched. So I'm big on leaving everything. But I'm way on this side, and the client that wants to look perfect's over here, and Joe is in the middle. So Joe and I argue, and he goes, but I'm arguing with this person to over-retouch and you to not retouch anything, and I'm like the middleman. So that's kind of where he has to be. And I said, look, I know what you're dealing with. You just handle it. You know what I want. Keep it as close to that as possible. If my shots look retouched when they go out, I get really... I don't think anything that you see in here, I don't think I touched any. These are probably, some of these are probably straight from the camera.
Do you review before it goes to the finals go to the client, or you just trust them to?
Like, I love those wrinkles. Do I review before the fun? No, I don't have time for that. It's at this stage of the game, it's all, I trust him, and you want to develop a rapport with your retoucher so that you make sure that your work looks consistent. It allows the clients, like a client can't come in, do a session with me and go, why, I'm not happy you didn't shoot me outside. I'm like, my whole website looks like that. What'd you expect to get from me, That's what you got. You got what you know it. So I'm big on doing everything consistently, so when the client shoots with you, you say, this is my product, this is what you got, and you know what your product is. Your product is that package. What the end product is the 8x10.
Will Joe give you a copy of the final products, like at least digitally? Maybe if you give a good report.
He'll give him, I think he'll make an extra copy for the photographer. Just ask him to do that. He does that for me. So what happens is people order the shots, he works on them, he prints them, and then he always does test prints and stuff, and then he does an extra print and he puts it in a box, and every month I go over there or whatever, I'll get the prints and I'll look through what people ordered, and I'll get to see everything. So that's really good for building your portfolio too. That's a great way to get the print so that your portfolio gets there, and when you do consultations with actors and stuff, you have something to show them.
So you're not actually trying to sell print. You're just, after you finish shooting, you're actually getting paid for the sitting, and that's it.
I'm done, yeah. I'm done.
So Joe is taking care of the print part?
Yes, he's doing the printing and the retouching. Yeah, he's making the 40, yeah, I get nothing out of the $45 for the retouching. Right. So I give him all that.
The client is dealing with him.
Dealing with him directly, and all the money goes to him. I don't like money crossing hands either. Because some photographers do that. They package. So they go, you get a retouched shot and a print. So they'll try and go to somebody like Joe and make a deal with them. Look, I'm charging $50 for the retouch shot and this for the printing. Can you do a, and I just don't operate like that. I just can't be bothered. Well, there were a couple in the back here. Go ahead.
Do you take a different photograph from someone that's going for a modeling job versus someone that's going for an acting job?
Yeah.
Especially in terms of makeup and lighting.
Yes. Yes. But
Simpler for modeling?
no, simpler for acting.
Really?
Yeah, much simpler for acting. Modeling, modeling, they need a whole range of shots. In different looks. They don't need to necessarily look in the camera. I can be further back. I can pull up. I could do funkier lighting. Actors, very straightforward. The casting director wants to be able to see that when they walk in, they want to look like themselves, and that's about the gist of it. So.
Will that be in the DVD, the difference between the...
No, I don't talk about models in the DVD, really. I talk about, it's people. It's the DVD, and the information in it is for, you can use it for models. It's information for whenever a person is in front of your camera. It's if a model's in front of your camera, you're still coaching them, so it's a lot of the coaching stuff. Go ahead.
What's the cost of the intensive?
The intensive's $1,500. It's a 2-day, and it's appropriately named, and it's a blast. And it's the first 5 people who sign up for any particular one, it's $100 off. And then anybody, I guess there's a link on my website with the dates, and I do a deposit through PayPal. So, if you're thinking about it or you want to talk to me more about it, call the studio. I like talking to everybody. Everybody friend me on Facebook. I'm happy to talk to you if you have questions, if you catch me on chat and stuff. They do it from all over the world, and they're always like, you're actually talking to me? I'm like, yeah, I like it. I'm fine. For 2 seconds, don't bug me every day. Go ahead.
So you mentioned that after the session, the relationship with your client is done. Can you talk a little bit more about the preparation for the shoot, the session?
There is no preparation for the shoot, really. You're dealing with, you have to have a skill set that works for whoever walks in your door. I don't want the actors concocting any ideas before. I want them as a clean slate. The only preparation is that your job as a photographer, you're also a businessman. So your business is getting that person in front of your camera. So you do whatever you have to do before the shoot to get them in front of the camera, and most of that is just reassurance that they're going to get amazing pictures walking away. So I do consultations. I do them free. I like meeting with everybody. I have Lindsay talk to them. We have a page on my website with all my pricing. If you hit the gray star in the lower left-hand corner of the page, that's where the pricing is. But it's all to reassure them that I'm going to get the job done. So you need to make them feel, and then you feel them out a little bit, because if somebody's really stiff in a consultation, I might warn my makeup artist, and Lindsay will know that we might have a little bit of a, we have challenging days, but we work through it. I mean, I think there's a saying I like to say, a professional's at his best regardless. So regardless of what somebody's bringing into my studio, I'm a professional, and there's no way that I'm gonna allow any client of mine to have a bad shoot. It just doesn't happen.
You said you shoot them standing?
Yeah.
Is that an energy thing or what?
I don't like this and stuff. When you sit, I like them to move, and I like to look the look of the body. I can't stand those. You guys are out here. I know you are. You're those photographers that put the person on the ground and shoot down on them. They're looking up like this. I hate those pictures. You're out there. I knew it. Yeah, I know they're out there. Yeah.
I don't do that, but I'm a shorty and I can't do eye to eye, so I have to get them a little.
You got. There's things downstairs called apple boxes. That's what I use. With Jalen Rose, I use the apple boxes. Yeah.
How long does the session typically last?
It's 2.5 hours. Well, it's about 3 hours with guys, 4 hours for women, I'd say. It's long. And I value that these people are spending this amount of money in this type of economy. So I found that my sessions have been stretched out like crazy because I go crazy. I'm like so customer service driven that I want to give them, it's like when you guys come to me and are learning from my Jason left, but learning in my studio, I go nuts. I'm like, I want to teach everything that's in my brain. I'm going overboard to make sure that you get everything. And I do that with my clients when I'm shooting them. I want to make sure I get everything that they could have possibly been coming in for. That's why I don't do the smaller packages. I have one package. A lot of photographers do one look, two look. You give somebody one look, to an option of one look, immediately they're going to do it. You know, you're losing money there. Only offer like a package that you know it makes sense for you, and then figure and price yourself where you feel confident with it, and then tweak the packages. You can look at my website to see the packages I do, and just figure out where you want to start. And I don't care if anybody in this room can start a headshot business. That 17-year-old kid that was up on that thing started a business, and he's charging $150 a headshot, and he bought lights, not Kino Flows, but flow lights, and he's putting pictures up on Facebook in this group that I formed like every week. He's 17. He's applying to colleges. I wrote him a recommendation letter. He flipped out. I was serious about what I wrote. I mean, I was like, this guy is unbelievable. 17-year-old. He's applying to Harvard. I was like, sending my letter to Harvard. Okay. I was like, I don't really do. I tell them they're going to do between 4 and 7 looks, maybe, right? Is that what I do? And then I just shoot till I feel I got it. I shoot till I'm happy, let alone them. You know, I shoot a lot. It's game on. If they're coming in, I mean, I overlap sessions, so I do sessions at 10 a.m., 1, and 4. That's what I do. So tomorrow we have a 10, 1, and 4. So, and it's all women. So the makeup artist gets there at 10. I have 2 consultations. Once you do the intensive, I coach you for a month. So I have an hour coaching session with one of the guys that did the intensive last weekend at 9 a.m. So from 9 to 10, I'm coaching him. At 10, I have the client coming in, my makeup artist coming in, and a consultation coming in. So while the makeup artist is doing the makeup, I'll do consultations. So I have 2 consultations tomorrow at 10 and 10:30. Then I start shooting at 1 o'clock. So the session's about 4 hours for women, so from 10 to 2. So at 1 o'clock, they're in makeup for about an hour. So at 1 o'clock, the next girl comes in, and by 2, she's out of makeup. I'm wrapped up with the first one, and we're going on and we're shooting the other one. And then at 4, the next one comes in, and we usually are done by 8. So my day is from 9 a.m. in the studio till 8 at night. And that can happen 5 days a week. I try not to do that. But sometimes I want to do it. I mean, I'm a workaholic too. I'm a maniac. I'm nuts. My wife thinks I'm crazy. Go ahead. For an executive, oh, this is a good one. So for an executive, I can't really go as crazy as I go with actors. With actors, I expect them to be able to improv with me. For an executive, write this down. The base for everybody, whether an executive, whether they're an actor, whether they're a real estate broker, whether they're doing a match profile, I get these, you know, I get a lot of that. I'm like, hey, here we go. I got some marriages out of that too. So I got them, one wife came up, you don't believe that picture was it. I was like, okay, great, thanks. Confidence with approachability. That's my base every single day. I want these people, every single person in front of my camera, that's where I start. So I want them to look confident, I want them to look approachable. If they don't look approachable, they look standoffish. If they don't look confident, they look scared, and it makes them look out to lunch. Go ahead.
Do you do kids?
I do kids, yeah.
How do you approach them?
I did kids you really mess around with. I had this one woman, I was shooting her, but her kid came at the beginning of the session. She wants some shots of the kid. And I get goofy with kids. And this girl was like 4, and she goes, you funny. You funny photographer. Remember, were you there for that? That was a riot. I love it. I have kids. I'm fun with kids. I have twins that are 8 years old. So I want the parents to have a good time. I want the kids to have a good time. And kids usually, you're trying to, again, it's almost like the common thread. So if it's a little girl, like I'm thinking, okay, what were my girls playing with at her age? What can I talk about? You know, stuff like that. So I just play around too. Kids, it's more of a, it could be anything's coming your way. You don't know what a kid's gonna do. So you have to be a little more flexible, but it's also more fun, you know.
Go on and off of the
No. I'm a tripod guy, if you didn't notice. Sorry, they sponsored me, and I was like, I'm so fired up. I just, you know, because I'm passionate about the stuff that I feel is really good. So.
Do you do the white backgrounds with kids?
Yeah, yeah. I do other colored backgrounds, but I stick with the white mostly.
What is your backup camera?
So if this goes down, which they do, I go to, there's like a system. So if if this body breaks, then I go to an H1 with an Imicon back, which is an old Hasselblad bought Imicon. So it's a 22 megapixel Imicon back. The only difference between this and that one really is it's a tiny bit slower, but the image files are the same. It's great. I love it. Untethered, it's a pain in the butt. Tethered, it's fine. So I don't feel like I miss a beat if I have the Imicon back. If the H1 goes down, then I have a plate that goes on a Contact 645, so I have a 3 backup system. I went to LA, my LA studio once, and I had this camera, and it went down, and I didn't take my backup camera with me, and I was out there for like a week. So I called my assistant here. I never told you this story, I don't think. I called my assistant. I said, go to the studio. You got to FedEx me my camera, my H1 and my Imicon back. So this one went down. They FedExed me the other one. I'm shooting the other one. That one went down. So now both are gone. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And I had to go rent one in LA. So you cannot have a serious business shooting this. If like tomorrow I have 3 clients. So you guys do the math on what I'm making tomorrow, right? So actually I'm not making that much because the 4th client, I do I give I do charity, and there was a lot of charities asked me to donate sessions. So the last one's I had a donation. But still, if I'm making that amount of money and this thing goes down, what am I going to do? You know, it's all important business stuff. You got to have backup.
B&H is closed tomorrow.
Yeah, see, B&H is closed tomorrow afternoon. What am I going to do?
It looks like most of your shots are in color.
You guys were past 5, so I'm gonna answer 2 more questions and then let y'all go.
Black and white.
Everything's digital, so we just converted to black and white now. Yeah.
Makeup and hair priced over and above
Yeah,
yours?
makeup is $250 for women for a headshot session with my makeup artist. Yeah. No, I hate makeup on guys. I had a guy yesterday, they put makeup on, I was like, I'm not gonna tell him anything. I can't stand it. The only reason for a guy to put makeup on is if they have blemishes, and the retoucher's gonna get that anyway. Go ahead. Yes, yeah. Yeah, I won't work without my makeup artist.
Same one every time?
Same one. It's workflow. I mean, how am I going to do those 3 people together and there's 3 women? And how would I shoot? Where would I put the other one to get another makeup artist to come in to do it? It wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. Social media. Right now, you can't advertise the way that I did it when I started. It just doesn't happen. It was through Backstage, and I ran an ad in the paper every week that was like $315, and it was in the paper. And now everything's online, and social media is happening. Actors are so scattered all over the place. I mean, social media. That's about it. Where are we done here? That's it. One more, last question.
Sorry, the $250 that you say that you charge for the makeup artist to do the work, does that come out of $1,100 that the client?
No, it's extra. It's on top of that. So that's directly to him. Yeah.
So everyone pays the $50 for one session?
For the makeup. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
For more information, please visit us online, give us a call, or stop by our New York City Superstore. You can also connect with us on the web.